Today, we will go over 3 different ways to build walls for buildings. The first 2 methods will use different modes of the wall tool. The third method is going to use the Create Objects by Shape command, which was introduced in a previous lesson when we did hardscapes. First, let's take a look at the wall tool in the building tool set. So here under the building shell, we have 2 different types of walls. The first is the wall tool and the second is the round wall tool. They're both fairly similar to each other. We're only going to be working with the wall tool in today's exercise. The first thing I want to do is come over here in the mode bar and go to the wall tool preferences. Here I'm going to set up a couple things. First, I need an overall thickness for my wall. I'm going to go ahead and go with 8 inches. Next, I'm going to look at this Insertion Options tab, and here I get to decide how tall my wall is and where it sits. So the bottom offset, when it's at 0, that means that it's at Z0 elevation. So that's a great place in this example to draw from. And then for the height, I can come up here, I can either change the top offset of the wall, or I can just enter in the height of the wall that I want up there. In this case, it's going to be 9 feet. And let's go ahead and just start drawing based on that setup. So I'll go ahead and click OK. Next up, I need to pay attention to what the control line mode that I currently have it set up to. And what's recommended is that in Vectorworks, that whenever you're drawing walls, draw them clockwise. And I'm going to show you why this matters. And there are a couple different modes. You need to make sure that you're drawing in left control mode and that you're drawing clockwise in order for measurements and textures to be correct. So I'm going to do a quick demonstration for you, kind of demonstrate this. Let me quickly come in here and I'm just going to draw the basic shape of the footprint of this house. Okay, so let's move this footprint over here off to the side. And in fact, I'm going to get rid of the fill. I'm going to give it a nice red color so that it's easily seen. And I'm also going to give it a thicker line weight so I can see it easily. And then I'm going to make a duplicate of that. Let's go back to our wall tool. And then the first time I trace it, I'm going to trace it using the left control mode and tracing it in the clockwise direction. So you can see what's going to happen. As I start using the wall tool, it's basically a continuous click tool. So that first click just placed the first position where the wall is going to start drawing, and then each click ends one leg of the wall. And so you can see I can trace the outline of a building pretty quickly. So this is with the left control mode going in a clockwise direction. If I switch this to the right control mode, let's look at what happens. So I'm clicking the same spots, but notice I'm clicking on the outside of the footprint. And what that means is if these are coming from filled measurements that I took on site, so what that means is if these are coming from filled measurements that I took off site, they no longer match. So just to quickly demonstrate, so this one's correct, and if we zoom in, it's telling me that that wall is 19 feet 2 inches. But if I come over here and measure that, you can see that my the length of that wall is now 20 feet 6 inches. So that's one reason why you need to pay attention to both the control mode and the direction in which you're drawing. So just best practice, use the left control line mode and draw in a clockwise direction. So let's take a look at this hand drawing of our house. And I just want to note that I have set my file up the same way that I set up the Thomas Church pool file. This particular house this has not been drawn to scale. This is just a hand sketch. And so as I begin tracing this house out, the footprint that I'm making with using Vectorworks is not going to match the footprint for this house. I just have it up on the screen so that we can look at it simultaneously while we're drawing. I think that will be helpful. So to get started, I'm going to come over to the building shell toolset and select the wall tool. And then I'm going to select the left control mode. The next mode that we want to select is right here. It's the polygon mode. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to trace around the perimeter of the footprint of your house. And I'm going to click in the upper left-hand corner to start my wall. Then I'm going to position the wall in the general direction that it's moving. And I can enter in the exact length and angle of that wall by hitting the Tab key. So when I hit the Tab key, it allows me to enter in some values for length. And one thing that I really like about Vectorworks is that anytime you're entering a numeric field, that field acts as a calculator. So let's pretend like we didn't know that this was a 20-foot wall, but we only had those spans of the 9 feet, 5 feet, and 6 feet. What I could do is I could type in 9 feet plus 5 feet plus 6 feet, and then hit Tab in order to enter that angle field, and then hit 0 for that. And Vectorworks did all of the calculation for me. So to end this particular wall, I'm going to hit the Enter key one more time. Actually, I need to hit it twice. And then what happens is I start the second leg, or the second wall that makes up the footprint of this house, and it's the same thing. I'm going to hit the Tab key, and then I'm going to enter in 8 feet. And then because I moved the cursor in the general direction of this wall, it gives me a little bit of a cheat for the angle on this wall. And I know I can just clean that up and enter in 90 degrees, hit Enter twice after that, and then move the cursor in the general direction. And it's just a process of following these steps all over again. Now, I'm going to type in the wrong value just so I can show you what you can do if you accidentally make a mistake while drawing the footprint of your house. So instead of doing 35 feet here, I'm going to do 37 feet. And then I'll go ahead and leave it at this angle that's slightly off. And so I've entered in this length and this angle that's incorrect. What I can do is I can hit the backspace key. It just deletes the last wall that was drawn. And then I can once again go through the Tab key and I can re-enter that in correctly and finish my drawing. And then at the end, that last click should close all of these walls. So when you're using the wall tool, you're actually using a 3D tool. So if we use our flyover tool and we look at this, you can see that all of the walls that I drew with the 3D wall tool actually have a representation both in 2D and in 3D.